John Smith, and welcome to the June tip of the month. I am getting ready along with my friend and partner Gary Hart to take off to New Zealand this weekend and teach our annual winter workshop. We're going to go from summer solstice and arrive in New Zealand with shortest days of the year on their winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. So before I left, I thought I would show you kind of a fun little thing I've been doing here. This is sort of in the summer. We get these long days here, especially in California. Those of you that live here know what I'm talking about. A lot of blank blue skies, just very long days. Early sunrise, late sunsets. Sometimes you don't feel like being out at those times of the day. So I usually tend to break out my infrared cameras at that point. And I have one converted that shoots at 720 nanometers, which is almost pure black and white. It's not quite as contrasty as an 850 nanometer, but it contains just a tinge of the blue from the blue spectrum. But by the time I'm through working on the images, they come out to black and white, as you're seeing here. And living along the coast now, we've had quite a few days in both May and June. We call it May gray here and June gloom, where we just get a lot of fog. And you can go 10 minutes inland and you're in blue sky days again. So the beauty of infrared is it works both in blue sky days. And I'm really loving the effects I'm getting in overcast days. So I've brought up 5 images here. And no, this isn't going to be a tutorial on infrared. I'm just showing you the results of some of my infrared images. But we're going to take these a step further thanks to Photoshop. And hey, if you don't have infrared, you can also do this where you take a color image and you convert it to black and white, and then you come back. And what we're going to take a look at today is coming up here to filters and Photoshop's neural filters. Now, I know most of you that work in Photoshop are aware of these, and you get a lot of different ones like landscape mixer, color transfer is kind of cool. Depth blur. I'm going to do a video on that when I get back from New Zealand and Australia and show you what I'm using that for. But the one that I find in here that's really kind of cool and very, very simple is Colorize. And that's where you would take an old black and white photo and let the AI magic of Photoshop convert it back to a color image. So I thought, well, what the heck? Why not take a scene or scenes that I shot in infrared and convert it to infrared? Let's see what it'll do with that. So simply you come here to Colorize. You're going to have to turn it on by clicking that switch, and it's kind of a one-hit wonder. Now, let's take a look at some of the things we can do. I'm going to come back to manually controlling the image. I'm going to show you a couple images where we can go in and do that. Basically, I just leave the checkbox on by default in the auto color image. And now, one thing, Adobe, I hope you will fix this. In previous versions of Photoshop, we could come in here and we could change, get a different profile look for a starting point. But I want to show you, I'm just going to pick one at random here. If you look up here, it says we've temporarily disabled this filter because of an error. So I'm going to come over here where it says reset parameters. And I'm not sure why this is happening. And I just updated to the latest version of Photoshop this morning, hoping they would have fixed that. And there's no fix there. I have sent Adobe a message. I'm sure they're aware of it, and I'm sure we will get an update where we will get the profiles to come back, because there were some cool looks. They're just starting points. So really what we get and what you can control here is we get a saturation slider. So you can see I can bump up the overall saturation. I can change colors if I want to bring out a little more reddish in this shot, which down here in the road I could do, but it subtracts out some of the bluish in there. Double click to reset that. Here's another thing. When I double click on the slider, oftentimes I will get this overall blue look. So this is in beta still. Well, no, excuse me. It's come out of beta now. You can see they've removed the beta tag over here. So I'm not quite sure what's going on, but this filter needs some love and attention. But nonetheless, it's fun to play with. And let's cancel out of here. Let's go on to another shot. Now, this one I've had a little problems with, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So let's come back up to Filter, Neural Filter. And by the way, I've got, before I turn these on, I want to show you something. Make sure you come up, well, I'm going to have to get rid of this box. So let me go there. Come up to Image and Mode. And if you come over here, you want to make sure, that the check mark is next to RGB color. Sometimes when you convert a black and white, it will go into grayscale. And if you see the checkbox there, you want to make sure it's checkbox to RGB color. Okay, now let's go back into Filter, Neural. And we will turn, every time you come in here, you're going to have to turn this on. Now, what you're going to see is that in some of these highlighted places, there's no color. So up here we have, it says manually color image, and I usually don't work with this. Here's another thing I wish Photoshop would do is make this preview box bigger. So I'm going to have to, if you see these crosshairs, when I'm going to drop it into the road section of the image there. See that crosshair? I've got to come up and find where that hotspot is, which is right in here and up in here. And it'll bring up the color picker box. And then I have no way of, I would love to have the eyedropper tool come up so I could click into these greens to match these greens. But I'm going to have to kind of do it by just manually getting into the greens here and kind of guessing. And I'm just going to come out to a lighter green, click OK. And now you can see some green was added in here into this section. And if we look back up in our color preview window, there's the color. And we do have a strength slider. So I'm going to go ahead and back that off a little, take that green down. Now I'm going to work on this section. The beauty is we can add in as many of these as we want. You can see it turn that section green because I haven't changed the green swatching. If I wanted to change the color, I'd have to go back into the color picker. We can come right up into this section here. And see, again, it's hard to see this crosshair on this little preview. And I've got a 32-inch monitor. And it's hard. So I can imagine working on a laptop in here, it would be very hard to do. So a few things I'd like to see Adobe correct. Hopefully they do. This one I'm going to bump up a little. And you guys are kind of getting the drill here. And I'm going to take that down a little. So now we kind of have it. And you see there's the 5 dots of where I've gone in to amplify the color. I can switch to color by clicking there, and the color picker box comes up. I'm going to cancel out of there. I can remove those. I can re-add them. So if you're having images such as this one, and it tends to be more of a problem in the very highlighted areas of infrared. I don't know if I just converted a color image to black and white and then went back and colorized it, it probably wouldn't be a problem. Okay, let's move along. Here's just such a typical why I love 720 IR. You get the dark, the blue skies go black, and the green foliage goes white. So I want to point out something before I colorize this. See this area in between the trees? This was actually a fog bank. I drove to I found a road where I was able to drive to the edge of a fog bank, and it's not a cloud, it's actually fog that is starting to dissipate. So I want to show you when we turn on the filter. And we're going to go, remember, every time you go in there, you're going to have to turn it on. You're going to see that it kind of turned this a greenish color. So what could I do? I could manually click in there. I would want to go to black to try to match the sky. And let's see if I can do that. Let me find something that is more black way down in here. And what it did is it kind of turned that fog back to white, which is fine. It unfortunately stripped some of the green color out of the tree branch there. So I could go back in. And again, it's hard to see here because the preview window is so small. So let's go up and find the green for that now. And there we were able to add back in some of the green, and I could fine-tune it, take it down. That's a little greener than the rest of it. You can see it missed this section. So it's not perfect, but as you can see, it's a lot of fun to just see, and you get sort of this surreal color coming back in. Okay, two more. Let's go to this image, and we'll turn this one on. So again, neural image. We go to colorize, turn it on, and that's kind of cool. One of the things I want to show you, notice how the foliage here, it's white foliage, and I don't think this is going to improve it, but I'm going to bring the saturation up because I wanted more blue in the sky, and it actually turned some of that white foliage blue. Let's see if we went, no, I don't want that one. I want to go away. I want to go into the greens. Now, seeing it's doing it globally. So what we would have to do is, once again, and I won't keep showing you this because I've showed you, we'll do it maybe on this one furthest branch out here. I would go back to green. I'll just select a green color randomly. And you can see it did put some green up in there, but far too much to balance out with the rest of it. So I'd have to kind of march around the tree and do all of that, or just accept what it gives you on the global look. Oh, here's another thing I want to show you. See how this rock picked up some of the greenish cast? We can also dial that out. So I'm going to put the crosshair right there, and I'm going to change the color this time to match more of this rock, which would be down in here. Again, if I had an eyedropper added to this, it could be pretty cool because I wouldn't have to be guessing on the color. But there, kind of took some of that greenish out. I'd have to come over and do it. Let me bump up the strength actually on that. And then I'd have to come over on this rock and do it in a little bit there. So you can play with it. Adobe, if you're going to make one change, you got to make this window bigger, especially for us older folks who are struggling to see your little preview window. All right, last one. This was kind of a cool one, captured in the morning with a fog bank over. This is a cottonwood tree, and I was able to get, for some reason, the wind was blowing, making the windmill blow, and I added a kind of a soft glow into the tree. The leaves were actually, and the foliage was actually very still, so go figure. But again, here's one of the things I'm noticing, and we're going to turn this neural filter on in a moment. Let's watch these highlight sections of the foliage and see how it handles that, and if we're going to need to come in and add some manual adjustment to it. And yeah, you can see that it didn't quite get all of this. So let's just, I don't know if I'll do all these parts, but let's start down here in the bottom. And we want to match out the yellows. So I'm going to kind of come up here into the yellows. And let's see what it does. Yeah, and beautiful. It added that yellow in. I don't even think I have to reduce the strength. Let's go up to the biggest area, which is right here. And yeah, it's starting to add that yellow in. very nicely. We'll even come up to this section here. You know, it might be cool if they gave us the ability to click on the picture, but I'm not an engineer, and that you guys are probably laughing at me for even suggesting that. Okay, that filled in. Now I got that one little area right there. It is easier to see the highlight parts on there. And one more right here, and I think we'll have it. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Looks kind of cool. So there you go. This is kind of a fun little processing thing that you guys can go back to some of your old images. Or for those of you, I know a lot of you have gotten into the 720 nanometer because you write me, and I know you're having fun with it like I am, and it's cool to do. But think about going out, you know, if you are in an area where you got a cloudy day or a rainy day or a foggy day, trying it with that and getting away from the notion that I have to shoot it just on a harsh sunlit day, which is really cool to do too. And then try colorizing these images, convert them to black and white, or go ahead, go through your infrared processing, and then bring those back in and try colorizing. And you may be very happy with the image that you have gotten. One other thing that I want to point out is down here it says output, and this is to the current layer. I don't want that. What I would recommend is outputting it with a smart filter. That way, once you get out to Photoshop, if you don't like something you did, you can come back in here, and this would be a smart filter, and you could reopen the box with all of these manual adjustment points still in place and all of your conversions on these sliders still in place, and you can do some adjustments to your heart's content. So that's a look at the Adobe Colorize filter. I know there's been a bunch of videos done on this before, but applying it to an black and white infrared image and having some fun with it. Hey, so I will see you next month when I get back. We get back about the middle of the month. We're going to go on vacation to Tasmania and up to the south coast of Australia. So I'm really looking forward to this trip. We'll be gone about a month. And when I get back, we'll run another video. And until then, get out and practice, have fun, stay creative. It's all good for your soul. And we will see you next month.